This YouTube thing is really growing on me. I used to use TikTok as kind of a video journal, but eventually it got too big for me to share personal things, and I didn't have a lot of followers, not saying it got big like that, but I had a video or two go semi-viral where the comments were really creepy, so I had to cut all of that out, but I'm liking this, no face, and it lends itself to more freedom, I think, so I'm also talking more freely in this video. What I typically do is I'll journal every day or every other day, and if there's a particular prompt I liked, or if I felt like I had something of value to share, I would type it out and read it off of a Google Doc. I don't have an exact plan of what I want to say in this sort of like journal entry, but I'm just going to start with sharing why I'm doing this. So I'm a business major, but I focused a lot of my coursework on climate change and sustainability, which those two areas really clash with each other. I'm not a fan of capitalism. I believe that corporations tend to be more exploitative than anything else. I also really like being creative and involving like a certain amount of creativity in menial tasks. So I'm not saying I'm great at it either, but these videos I splice together are pretty lazy, and I was introduced to editing by a job application not too long ago, or an internship application for a social media management position that had an optional portion for making a video. It gave me prompts, but it was open-ended in the way where I could have just set up a camera and answered the questions, or answer them through skits or something. I spent so many days filming and editing, and I was so proud of it and had so much fun. I didn't get the position though, but I did keep the editing stuff and would just make vlogs and cooking videos or whatever else I was doing as like a little hobby. But it showed me that there is a relationship between creativity, business, and sustainability or social responsibility, especially when it comes to like brand management and communicating with the consumer. So I have a more fleshed out idea of what I want to do career-wise, but the intricacies are like really boring, so I'll probably just leave it at that. But the reason I pivoted and I'm using Minecraft footage ties back to how I ended up where I am in the first place. I won't go into detail childhood-wise because I'm pretty sure it's like a typical story of falling in love with YouTube and the game, like so many do. So I'm just going to skip to the end of high school when I was applying to college. So I've always been a really great writer, but when it came to the Common App essay, I was really stuck. So it's kind of open-ended, and, constraints lead to creativity or whatever they say, People tend to write about adverse childhood experiences, major life events, and I had a pretty normal life, so no adverse experiences, barring, I guess, like my parents' divorce, which wasn't even really that crazy, and they hear a lot of that, so it's not very unique either. So I wrote about Minecraft. And I did find the prompt. It says, describe something you find so engaging that it makes you lose all track of time. Why does it captivate you? What or who do you turn to when you want to learn more? But I kind of took this and ran with it. I wrote about growing up alongside the game, when things changed in my life, and they changed in Minecraft, but my relationship to the game as something I'd revisit at key moments of my life stayed the same. So, losing track of time and all of that. Like, I tied it back to comfort and reliability, which I would say is kind of profound for an 18-year-old me, and it's still true. So I'm playing now because there's so much uncertainty in my life. I'm graduating college, I have no job secured, I have no real idea of what I want the rest of my life to look like. I don't know where I'm gonna live. I don't know if I'm gonna have to start all over again with making friendships and developing into a real adult, because 4 years ago I did just that, and I moved across the country for college. But I also know that these are my early and mid-20s that we're talking about. Supposedly it's what I'm going to look back on as the best time of my life. So I think the video journal thing is going to be really valuable to a future me, who can come back and answer all these questions of uncertainty and laugh about how stressed out I was, and because it's really not that crazy or deep, or for me to be so serious about these things right now, and I know it'll all turn out okay and I'll end up where I'm meant to be. So I think the video aspect of it also adds like a sort of timestamp in my life where I can look at the hobbies I've had and like things I like doing in my free time, and also making it public. Relating to strangers makes the world smaller and less scary. So for me and the strangers. So hi future me, bye future me.